For ornament number 2, I am going to show you how to create a hanging bulb that has words wrapped around it. We will start with a sphere. Just drag it right over. And let's start by thinking about the size. How big do you want a hanging bulb to be? About 3 inches wide, I think, or 75 millimeters. So I will take one of those corners and holding the shift key to avoid warping it, I'm going to drag it up to about 75 by 75 or 3 inches. Very good. I am also going to create a ring on the top to attach a string to. And you could use any number of shapes for that. I don't like the ring shape for that unless you're going to widen it out just because it's very thin. But tube or torus, those are both good choices. So I'm going to hit the F key to zoom in here. How do I orient this to fit on the top of the other thing? First of all, I'm going to grab that rotation arrow and use the snap grid here to get it to 90. If you have trouble with that, you can also type in 90 right there. Next, it's a little bit below the surface. I'm going to grab this black cone to lift it off the ground. And I'm going to drag it over here. I'm still not quite high enough. Okay. And just a reminder, undo is your best friend. When you're a beginner, it's going to be difficult to line this stuff up. And that's okay. And I just use the arrow keys there to make some fine adjustments. Great, so we are on our way. We have a place to attach a string if we want to. Next, I'm going to the shape generators. Just pause. And under the shape generators, I am looking for circular text, custom font text. I don't even know what that says, but we're looking at text that's going to be wrapped around. So what will the text say? Number 1, grandma. And you could use these shape things, these shape adjustments. I'm just going to try to eyeball it. And so I can tell right away that it needs to be wider to fit around the outside. So let's just make it a little wider. And I'm going to lift it off the ground until we're roughly halfway through, and I'll use the arrow keys to make fine adjustments as I get closer. I am getting there. You really have to make sure that everything is fully connected, or else some of the letters are not going to be on there. I'm going to make this a little larger again. Okay. Except now I'm not fully connected. Maybe I went too large. No, it's okay. Now, do you need supports underneath this? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But no, you don't need supports underneath it. Anything that's sticking out by just a little bit like this is not going to need supports. It'll just be pretty well connected to the shape. It'll be well supported because you can actually stick stuff out a little bit, or you can cut a hole out. That would be fine too. So I'm going to do one more thing with this. I want to rotate it just a little bit. And it should still fit okay around the edge as long as I do this part correctly. So I'm just going to use my arrow keys a little bit more. And that looks okay. Yeah, I think it's fine. You just have to make sure that nothing is sticking out in space. But yeah, that will be fine. So this says number 1 grandma, and it is a hanging bulb. Let me show you one more thing I want to do with this to make it print more easily. In 3D printing, we need something at the bottom to hold everything up. This shape, which only has one tiny point touching the plate, is going to have problems unless we add stuff to it. I'm going to eliminate that problem by cutting a slice off of the bottom. How much? Let's say 5 millimeters. I just grabbed this hole from here, a box-shaped hole. I'm going to drag that to be very large. It does not matter if it's bigger than the actual thing. And if I look at this from underneath, there's some overlap. And actually, I think there's not quite enough overlap yet. I'm just going to bump that up to 7. Great. So what happens when I merge these shapes together? We have now cut a flat surface off of the bottom. So this will adhere very well to the print plate. I don't need to worry about it coming unstuck the way I would if I hadn't made any changes. It's floating off the ground though. What do? I hit the D key. I could use the cone to actually drag it straight to the ground, but D will remove anything that is above or below the ground, or it'll take it and put it exactly on the ground. So that is ornament number 2.